My name is Marquiel Baker. When I was born, my mother was single, had two sisters older than I was, never met my father until I was about 18 years old. And I remember growing up and being taught that I had to fight for my respect. By the time I was 8 years old, had already started drugs, had this grand vision and this grand idea that I would be in a gang one day. Many people told me by the age of 18, I'd either end up in prison, on drugs, or dead. We were sleeping in a vehicle, sometimes sleeping in people's apartments. But my mom finally got the nerve to get us into a shelter. I can remember going down into the elevator and coming out into the lobby, and there's this big commotion going on. And I find out that my stepfather was coming into the shelter drunk. And at this moment, my mother's given this ultimatum. She can either go with her husband, or she can stay at the shelter with her kids. And if she chose to go with her husband, then we would be taken into custody. At that time, my mother chose her husband over her two children. The devastation as a child, here I am, 10 years old, just seeing my mother choose this man over me who she gave birth to. From that night on, I started a journey of 1.5 to almost 2 years of being transplanted to foster home and group homes. Throughout this whole time, I'm angry and upset, especially at my mother and my father, and upset at the world. And I would fight every chance I could. My whole life was a fight, I felt like. I lived a life of fighting. I never walked away until I was about 12 years old. I had this young girl, and she was screaming at me and arguing with me, and I was arguing with her. And I remember saying, I'm gonna walk away. And as I was walking away, she reaches and grabs my hair and pulls my hair. Out of instinct, I turn around, and I've already formed my fist, and I hit her. And I hit her pretty hard. And I remember them separating us, they sent me to my room and all. And throughout that night, they came in and they told me, I'm done at John Tarleton. They're going to disrupt me. And in fact, they were calling to see if they could get me placed in juvenile detention center. I hit my knees and I asked God, I said, God, if you're real and you love me like I was told, if you will take all this away from me, I will follow you the rest of my life. And the very next day is when I would meet the family that would adopt me. I didn't end up on drugs or alcohol or end up in prison. Didn't end up dead because God had a different plan for me, because I had so many different people in my life step in. Most people in my life that had an impact in my life, they don't get to see the impact that they had in my life, how it's affected me to today. I went to University of Tennessee, graduated from there, trying to become a doctor. In that process, God called me into ministry. And I knew when God called me into ministry that he was going to use my story to touch the lives of others. And now I get to impact kids every Sunday and Wednesday night. I get to impact families every Sunday. And by sharing my story and by telling them that there is a future and that there's a hope. My name is Marquiel Baker. I am a family ministry pastor at Rio Church here in Maryville, Tennessee.